Hey, welcome back everyone to Reedsy Live, Reedsy's ongoing series of webinars where we bring on professionals from the world of publishing to show you how to write, edit, publish and market better books. As a bit of a change from the last couple of ones we've done here, we're doing one that focuses on the publishing side and in particular the self-publishing side or the independent publishing scene because my guest will be Ricardo Fayet, who is one of the co-founders here at Reedsy. He's our in-house book marketing expert and also the author of a new book that came out last week. He'll be talking a bit about that, what he's done to launch it, and show you basically what he's done in order to get the book out there and have it thrive in its first week. But thank you very much for joining us. I know it's a bit of an awkward time for some of you, but let's see who is here. Velvet Buddha from Vienna. Welcome in. We have Anastasia Suarez from Miami, Pamela from South Carolina, Donna, Mario from Brooklyn, New York. Thank you, everybody. Let us know where you're coming from. And if you're looking to publish a book or you're writing a book, tell us what you're writing. It'd be good to see what everyone's up to. We have Aletta, who's a full-time RVer. I didn't catch the beginning of that, but do you live in a recreational vehicle? But she also writes historical suspense and all that. Fantastic. Well, for all you early comers, don't worry, make yourself comfortable. We're not going to start for a few minutes, but it'd be good to see where you're coming from. Rebecca from snowy Long Island, New York. Lourdes from Spain, but living in the UK. Very nice. Alonso from Switzerland. Fantastic. How are things over in the east coast of America? I hear things are pretty cold right now, but hopefully you're all indoors, staying nice and warm and safe. Yes, of course, if you haven't seen any one of these before, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to bring on my guest in just a few minutes. We're going to have a bit of a chat, see how he is. Then he's going to go into a presentation, which is all about planning a successful book launch, after which there will be a Q&A session that will largely try to focus on self-publishing and book marketing. So if you have any questions about that, save them for the end. You can put them in the comments, but I'll probably be a little bit busy during to get around to them. However, say hello to Shaylin, who's over in, she's manning the comments today. You may know her from our YouTube channel. She puts out 2 great new videos each week. If you're not subscribed already, I would highly urge you to do so. They're really good. They really help you with building your writing craft if you're a writer, and there's a lot of great information on publishing. So yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, then do like this video and subscribe to our channel. Yeah, Shaylin, if you're there, say hello in the comments. Gail from chilly but sunny Florida. Okay, interesting. Bianca from Romania's capital over here, which is Bucharest from my GCSE geography. Marilyn from southern Vancouver Island, a very important distinction, no doubt. Anne Francis writing several stories. The main one is fantasy sci-fi. 20k words so far. Hey, well done. That's a lot more than where I am currently with my book. Jayati, hi. We have Lorna Reed from damp grey London. I'm in London myself right now. I don't know how damp it is because I haven't been outdoors in quite a while. We have Maria from Miami, 64 degrees there. Oh, thank you. I just realized I should probably turn off all my notifications. Ricardo, if you're hearing this, you should probably do the same. I'll set this for 1 hour. We'll give ourselves 1 hour. This thing's going to last hopefully 1 hour all in, but we'll stay to answer any questions as long as there's still interesting questions coming in. Yeah, but thank you, Shaylin, for telling me that thing. I had to have her tell me whether my audio was fine because we've been having trouble with it before. But I see it's now 8 o'clock over here in the UK, 3 p.m. on the East Coast, midday on the West Coast, and like 4 in the morning back home in Singapore. So let's bring on our guest. First of all, I'll unmute him. Oh, turns out I never muted him. So good thing he's been keeping quiet. Ricardo, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. So, it's a very coveted slot, but, as one of the founders here, we had to sort of move mountains in order to get you on. Ricardo, where are you right now?
I am in the Balear Islands in Spain, so quite sunny and warm here. Can't complain.
Okay. Is that another way of saying Ibiza?
That is, yeah, Ibiza is part of the Balear Islands. But if you see Ibiza, everyone thinks you're partying and stuff, whereas right now you're just staying at home.
And so yeah, the Spanish people I know are keen to tell me there's the other side of the island of Ibiza where there are no British tourists throwing up in gutters. Um, but hopefully it's warmer there than here. We're going to wait a couple of minutes before we properly start. So, Ricardo, maybe we'll take this opportunity just to give a bit of background about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So, as Martin said, I'm one of the four founders of Reedsy. So that's really my main background. I didn't do much before that. I went to university, and yeah, I've been passionate about the publishing industry ever since starting Reedsy, unsurprisingly. And I've sort of specialized in book marketing. Been reading a lot of really great blogs out there, like Jonah Pence, David Gaughran, Dave Chesson. I've been reading a bunch of books from these people as well, and slowly started to learn about book marketing. I started a newsletter on book marketing around 3 years ago, sharing one little tip each week, and yeah, that allowed me to compile all these newsletters into a book that basically we'll be talking about today.
Sorry, I'm just putting this one up because CEO says, get so many Reedsy emails from Ricardo. She feels like your buds already.
We are. Anyone who gets emails from me and even replies to these emails is can be considered bots.
And that's good. So they're getting an invite to your next birthday.
Yeah, COVID permitting, I guess.
Yeah, who knows what that's going to be. Cool. Well, I know there's a lot to get on. Everybody back there at home or at work, if you haven't already, I've just one request. If you could find the like button here on YouTube and give that a gentle touch, it'll mean a lot to us. It'll help a lot more people find what we hope will be illuminating and entertaining content here on the Reedsy YouTube channel. Chica says, pretty cool seeing you in the flesh. I assume that's you. Oh, also, yep. Yeah, so let's get a start on. I am going to set this on, and here we go.
Very nice presentation. This is my first time on Reedsy Live, so I'm really impressed with the setup we have here. So yeah, we're going to be talking about how to plan a successful book launch. I'm not going to be talking about the content of my book because that book is free on all retailers as an ebook, so you can just grab it and read it, and no need to repeat the information here. Instead, I'm going to be talking about, it's a little bit meta, but I'm going to be talking about how we marketed the book on how to market a book. So how we planned the book launch that turned out to be successful. So first, in order to plan a successful book launch, you need to figure out what successful means to you. So what your goals are with releasing the next book. In our case, why did we decide to write this book? Well, the first and the main reason is to reach a new audience. We publish a lot of blog posts. We do a lot of YouTube videos. We have free Reedsy learning courses that are sent over email. But what we hadn't done so far is put out a book on Amazon and other retailers. So if people were searching for Reedsy or Reedsy material on Amazon, they wouldn't find anything, which is a bit sad for a company that's in publishing. So we wanted to remedy that and access a different channel, get some visibility on the ebook retailers. The second reason is related to the first one. We wanted to bring new and relevant customers into Reedsy. The goal here is not really to sell books and make money off the sales, which is why we made the book free. We're not going to make a lot of money out of a free book. No, the goal is to get people who are not necessarily aware of Reedsy or who've just heard about Reedsy but don't know what we do, who come across the book on Amazon, they get it, they download it, they read it, and get those people to basically find out more about Reedsy and our different services and offerings through this book. And the third reason is tied to our philosophy at Reedsy, which is to provide as many free resources as possible to help authors write, publish, and market their books. We've got free courses, we've got all these free events, um, blog posts, videos, and it just made sense to also release a free book on one of the most complicated topics out there, book marketing. So the first step, when we had this idea to write a book on book marketing, was to choose a title. Now, I'm guessing that you'll think that how to market a book as a title is not very imaginative. It's not very creative. Some have even told me flat out that it was not very sexy as a title, and I 100% agree with all these comments. It's not a creative title, but there's a reason why we decided to call it How to Market a Book. Now, see, nonfiction titles need to achieve like three objectives. First, they need to immediately convey the topic. If I'd used a complex title like Skyrocket, Your Presence on Amazon, people would not necessarily understand that it's a book. So we wanted to use something very simple and straightforward, even if it's not super imaginative. How to Market a Book achieves that. Now, it also needs to explain why the book is different than others. There are other books out there called How to Market a Book. There's a great book by Joanna Penn that has the same title. So we need to differentiate ourselves and explain why our book is different. And in this case, we decided to do that through the subtitle, and we subtitled the book "Overperform in a Crowded Market," because that's really what I feel the problem is nowadays that authors face on when it comes to marketing their book. Is there are so many books out there on the e-retailers that you're just gonna be lost in the ocean if you don't really plan your launch successfully. So it's all about rising to the top and overperforming in a crowded market, which is why I thought that subtitle made sense and differentiated our book and explained exactly what our book was going to teach people. And finally, and this is really by far the most important bit, and the reason why we decided to title our book the way we did, is it needs to be optimized for search. Now, when we're looking at the time when we're studying titles, the first thing I did is run a search on Amazon. I ran a search for how to market a book, how to promote a book, book marketing, etc. And what I realized is that all the books that were ranking in the first positions for all these searches, for all these keywords, all had very non-imaginative titles: how to market a book, how to sell books by the truckload, how to publish a book, very simple stuff. And generally, titles that had the exact keyword or a very, very similar variation of the keyword in there. So this is what we basically achieved by titling the book How to Market a Book. In less than a week, we achieved our number one goal, which was to rank organically on Amazon on the number one spot for the search How to Market a Book. Now, it's not a search that gets a lot of volume. There are not, hundreds of thousands of people going to Amazon each month and searching how to market a book. There's maybe there's 50 or 100 or 200, but that's 200 people who are going to come across our book immediately, get familiar with Reedsy, hopefully download it, and it's some nice organic visibility. At the end of the day, this was always going to be a book about book marketing, because that's what my newsletter was going to be about. So we searched for the keyword that had the most volume on Amazon. How to market a book was that keyword, and then we decided to title our book so that it will have the best chances of ranking for that keyword search. So there you go. Not a very imaginative title, but one that fits our goal.
Yeah, like with that one, like I've seen a lot of non-fiction books also go with something like flourishy and artistic for the main title, and then use the subtitle to do that search term optimization and the explaining and all that. But yeah, this one I think you probably got two bites of the apple.
Yeah, you have the title and the subtitle, and then the series title is the third thing that also matters for a lot for search. And you can use any of them to try to rank your book. Generally, the title is going to have a little bit more importance in the eyes of Amazon, at least nowadays, than the subtitle or the series title. I'd say it's in that order, actually. Title is the most important, and subtitle, then series title. For some searches, you might get away with having the keyword in the subtitle or in the series title. Series title is really important for fiction, by the way. We're going to talk a lot about nonfiction today. But for fiction writers, a great tip for organic visibility is including your genre in the series title. For example, this is book one in the paranormal witch cozy mystery series. And that way you get a little bit of organic visibility through the series title. In our case, we went for the title because title is the most important. Our competitors, or other books on the topic, had that exact search term in the title. So we said, okay, we're not going to reinvent the wheel here. We're going to put it in the title and use a subtitle to add a bit more flourish.
Cool. All right, the next point. Whoops, wrong window.
The next point, after the title, the cover. So once we had the title, we obviously wanted to design the cover. Actually, the cover is the last thing we did. But yeah, once you have the title, you can already get started thinking about the cover design. So here we did the same thing. We looked at comp titles out there in the market, and one thing immediately jumps at you, or should jump at you here, is the common thing across all these covers. They're very, very typography heavy. The title of all these books generally occupies more than a third of each cover. In some cases, like the selling books by the truckload by Penny Sansevieri, it's 2/3 of the title. So we knew that our book needed to be very typography, our cover needed to be very typography heavy as well. Probably at the top of the cover, we would have the title, and then at the bottom, something that would, again, differentiate our book. So same concept as the title. We'd use the top of the cover for, the important bit that we cannot do without, and the bottom of the cover for the flourish. So we started drawing. Our illustrator, Raúl Gil, from Catalonia, started drawing some concepts for the bottom bit of the cover. We knew that the top bit, again, was going to be reserved for title and subtitle. So for the bottom bit, he was thinking, okay, he was playing on the idea of, on several ideas. One is, like, as you can see on the left here, is incorporating all the different things that you have when marketing your book. So graphs, mailing lists, and all that stuff, and having them centered around the writer. Another idea that you can see on the right with the man walking on the graph is the idea of overperforming in a crowded market. You step on these little graph bars to get higher, or you're emerging from a crowd of authors with your book in hand, and basically overperforming in the market. So these were early concepts that were not 100% sold off, but that allowed us to create the first versions of the cover, as you can see here. Concept A, a writer with all the things that they have to do to market their book and looking a little bit, overwhelmed or hesitating. And the other concept is someone walking on graphs in the middle of an ocean of books. The problem is we didn't see those concepts. We didn't think that they had a lot of potential to evolve. These are nice, like, first iterations, but we don't really know how to take them further. They didn't fill the space very well. It was a little bit empty on the right side and empty overall. So Raul decided to take things in a completely different direction. He looked at other concepts. You can see them on the left, an author pushing a book through the screen to the readers, different pieces of the marketing puzzle, or someone like taking the book that's flying away in the rankings. But in the end, we settled on the concept that's here on the right, which is me guiding the readers through the jungle to the bestseller charts. We like this because it feels personal. It portrays the author on it. Some people in the industry know me. A lot of people get my emails, as we've seen in the comments. So it's nice to have this little cameo on the cover. I certainly don't complain.
It would
And then we
stand to
really like
reason
this
that
idea of like having a jungle.
the back of your head is more famous than the front of it.
That's true. That's true. I'm not going to show the back of my head, but you get the idea. And yeah, we like the idea of a jungle and a bestseller chart that's in the middle of the jungle and illuminated by a lamp torch. So that's what we settled on and we're most excited by. So here you can see the early concept, and then with the color applied, we played with colors. We had this blue that's a little bit more Reedsy at the beginning, but we decided to go with something darker, mostly to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the book. They're generally lighter, and it works really well with the contrast of the torchlight. As you can see here, it's a dark blue that's not really present in the charts in the category, so it stands out quite nicely, and the yellow torchlight also catches the eye quite well. Also makes the title a lot easier to read, which is at the end of the day the most important thing. So yeah, once you have that cover design, it's going to be your number one marketing asset, which is why it's so important to spend the time that we spent on this, because you really want to end up with something that you can use both to catch the eye on the retailers, something that you can use on your newsletters, so you can see here on the right, and something that you can use on your Facebook ads that I just started this week, actually.
We've had some folks ask whether the tips here, the advice here, is applicable to fiction as well.
Yeah, some of it is applicable to fiction, as I talked about the series title, but as a way to get some organic visibility for search terms in fiction. The cover design is 100% applicable to fiction. You need to spend a lot of time getting the cover design right, and you need to follow the same path that we did here. Check the covers in your genre, in your category on Amazon, see what they have in common. If all of them have a character on the cover, you probably want a character on your cover. If all of them have, I don't know, a wolf on the cover, then you're probably writing about werewolves and you're going to want a werewolf on the cover. And don't try to reinvent the wheel, but try to differentiate yourself in a subtle way. Maybe use a different color, different palette that's going to catch the eye, while at the same time telling readers, yeah, this is the type of book that you're after. This is a book that you want to read. The next step was choosing keywords and categories. This is very, very much metadata focused, but all these things, the keyword, the title, the cover, the metadata, they're all extremely important in order to successfully launch a book. And they're all decisions that you can make long time in advance. It's not stuff that you should rush. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about how keywords and categories play on discoverability on the Kindle store. Basically, when you upload a book to Amazon, you can choose 2 categories and 7 keywords. These are going to be used by Amazon to, well, place your book in categories and to also show your book in search results. So for example, if you use, I don't know, in our case, we used, I don't even remember the keywords that we used, but we'll show them after. I don't know if you're still there, Martin.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, sorry, because I didn't see the background anymore. Sorry, that threw me off. Yeah, the Amazon's going to use the keywords that you provide to basically decide which searches to show your book for. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but basically keywords are a way to get a little bit more organic visibility. This is even more true for nonfiction than for fiction, because there's more that you can do with keywords in nonfiction. But in our case, we wanted to use a mix of, how to promote a book, how to market a book marketing, Amazon SEO, things like that, to get our book ranked in searches for these search terms. So categories, in my opinion, are a lot more important than keywords, especially for fiction. And so what you want to do is do a thorough research of categories. Now, for that, I used a tool called Publisher Rocket. I mention it quite a few times in the book, and it's a tool that I very often recommend for everything related to category research, keyword research, and research for Amazon keywords as well, for Amazon advertising. And what this tool does basically is it lets you analyze categories in bulk. And by analyze, I mean look at how competitive the categories are. If we look at this this chart here, at this table, what we have is the name of the categories on the left, and then a bunch of metrics. What these metrics tell basically is how competitive the category is. So the ABSR is the Amazon bestseller rank of book one here. So what Publisher Rocket's going to do is it's going to look at the book ranking number one in that category at this moment in time, and then take its Amazon bestseller rank on the overall Amazon store. So for example, the book that ranks number one in entrepreneurship and small business category ranks 24,500 and something on the store. Out of this number, lets you extrapolate an estimated number of sales per day. So this book that's number one in this category sells around 11 copies per day. It's not huge, but it's something. And then we have the ABSR and sales of the book number 10 or 20 in the category. I can't remember. But that basically tells you, okay, if I manage to rank number one in this category, I can expect to get at least 11 sales a day. And if I manage to rank number 20 in this category, and I can expect around 3 sales a day. And another way of putting this is, if I want to get a nice orange bestseller tag next to my book when I release it, I can pick this category because I know that if I sell 11 copies in one day, I'm going to get a little orange sticker because I'll be number one in that category. It's a very low competition category. Inversely, if we take the category at the bottom, authorship, it's pretty niche. It's at the end of a very long path, but the book number one in this category gets 218 sales a day. So I'd need to sell 218 copies to get number one in this category. Now, in my case, the book is free. The ebook is free, so it's not going to get a little orange bestseller tag in any of these ebook categories because it's going to be on the free store, not on the paid store. But I did the same research for the paperback, doing a research for paperback categories, and I actually earned a bestseller tag in one print category. That's very obscure as well, I think. Yeah, e-commerce or something like that. But it's nice. It's a little bestseller tag, ego stroke. Now, keywords. I did the same research for keywords, same thing, using Publisher Rocket. And here I basically typed a bunch of keywords into Publisher Rocket that I thought could be relevant for my book. And then I took out and Publisher Rocket returned all these metrics here. The first metric, comp, is basically the number of competitors. So the number of books that are indexed for that keyword. So if you search for how to make a living writing on the Amazon Kindle store, you'll probably get something like results 116 out of 1679. So basically, it means that there are 1679 books indexed for that search. So it gives you an idea of how many books are trying to rank for that keyword. Average earnings is something calculated by Publisher Rocket that gives you the average earnings of the book ranking number one for this keyword. It's estimated, and I'd say it's not 100% accurate. I'm not sure exactly how it's estimated, but it's not a metric that I pay a ton of attention to. I pay more attention to Amazon searches. Again, that is an estimation as well. No one knows exactly how many Amazon searches there are per month for any keyword, but Publisher Rocket estimates it using a few bits of data here and there. And then competition grade basically, again, is an estimation of how competitive, how hard it is to rank #1 for this keyword. Some keywords are less competitive, like how to make a living writing. Others are a lot more competitive, like marketing ebook, competition 60, or ebook marketing 73. And this last one is not within Publisher Rocket. It's just a ratio that I did myself to divide the number of Amazon searches by the competition grade to get an idea of how much potential a keyword has in terms of both traffic and low difficulty. Based on all that, I decided to pick 7 keywords. Now, the one thing that you need to know about keywords on Amazon, and that's something that not a lot of people know, is you don't need to put just one keyword in a keyword box. Amazon gives you 7 boxes, but they're actually boxes for keyword phrases. You're allowed up to 50 characters per keyword box. So as you can see, all the ones in yellow, they're basically a mash of different keywords. For example, book marketing authors beginners, that's not really something that anyone would search for on Amazon, but this allows me to index for both book marketing for authors, book marketing for beginners, marketing for authors, marketing for beginners, just using one keyword box. This one keyword box is going to get me index for all these searches that I mentioned above. The same goes for ebook advertising, marketing, digital. This is going to get me index for ebook marketing, digital ebook marketing, ebook advertising, digital advertising. So you basically mix and match all the keywords within one box together, and that's what that box is going to be able to get you index for. Now, why I decided to pick 2 keywords that are green is that if you dedicate one keyword box to just one exact keyword, like how to make a living writing or promoting your book, then that gives you a little boost in search rankings. It's very nice to be indexed for a bunch of different terms, but if you're on page 200, then no one's going to see it. So using exact matches for the keywords you really want to rank for gives you a more chance of ranking for them. And now that I mentioned this little trick or important tidbit of information for keywords, I remember that I didn't mention the little trick for categories that you need to know. So if you can go back to the previous slide, Martin. I'm sorry about that. So the thing to know about categories is when you upload your book to Amazon using KDP, you can only pick 2 categories, right? You'll be familiar with that if you've uploaded a book on Amazon. This does not mean that you are stuck with these only 2 categories. You can request up to 8 additional categories, so 10 categories in total, by simply reaching out to KDP support. If you Google KDP support, you click on the first result, and then you click on the first item in the sidebar that says Amazon product page. You can then select request categories, and you can send an email to KDP support just to request additional categories. They even have a template within the email that you have to fill with the marketplace you want to request the categories for, so .com or .co.uk or another one, the ASIN, the format of the book, whether it's ebook or paperback, and then all the categories that you want added. So I copy pasted the categories in blue were categories where my book was already in because of the categories I chose when I uploaded the book to Amazon. And all the ones in green, I just copied them, pasted them in that KDP support email. And in less than 24 hours, I was in 10 categories. I did that for both the ebook and the paperback on both .co.uk and .com marketplaces. So very simple. It doesn't take a lot of time. If for you fiction authors who write in series, you can do this operation in bulk. So you can say for my 7 ASINs, add them to these 8 categories, and Amazon's going to do it in bulk. So you'll have all your 7 books in the series in 10 categories and in the same 10 categories. So make sure you take advantage of that. It's really important for visibility.
Cool. There's some questions coming up,
Yeah.
but don't worry, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. yeah, in terms of categories and keywords, this all applies for fiction the same as nonfiction. It's all categorized in the same way, and you can apply this trick there as well.
Absolutely.
Let's find your next bit. Haha.
Now, early reviews. This is another thing that we did that was pretty important. When you release a book, there's nothing worse than putting it out there and it doesn't sell, and it doesn't get reviews, because if it doesn't sell, generally it's not going to get reviews. But at the same time, if you have 0 reviews and you haven't done like some pre-launch marketing, then it's never going to sell, because people are not going to take a chance on a book that's been out for several months and has no reviews. So that's why early reviews are important, basically. What I did with this book is I reached out to all my friends in the industry. I'm lucky in that I've been working in publishing for 6 years now, and I know a lot of people, and a lot of people have been telling me to write a book for a long time. For a long time. So I reached out to them and I told them, hey, I've finally written this book. It's a collection of my newsletters. I imagine you're super busy, so you probably don't want to read this, also because you probably already know all this information. But in the off chance that you do want to read it, I'd love your feedback on it. So I sent this advanced review copy to all these people around over a month before my projected launch date. And a few of them were nice enough to, one, read it, and two, agree to leave me an editor to give me a cover quote, basically. The one from Ben Galley is actually on the paperback back cover, because it's such a nice one. And Ben's a longtime friend. So I reached out to maybe 40, 50 people, and I got 4 editorial reviews. You can't expect everyone you reach out to with art, especially if you're reaching out to kind of influencers or partners in nonfiction, to give you an editorial review. So you should cast a relatively wide net, but at the same time, don't ask too much. I didn't ask them to read and review the book. I just told them, hey, here's a complimentary advanced review copy. I know you're busy, but if you get a kick out of reading this, then I'd love your feedback. And I think it's also important to ask for feedback, especially for nonfiction, to people who already are in your niche, because one, they can come back to you with really good feedback that you can use to improve your book before you release it. And two, it's an easier ask than telling people, hey, read my book and review it. It feels better for them to. It feels better to ask for feedback, basically. For fiction, same advice applies. You're not going to reach out to influencers probably, but you're going to reach out to readers in your genre. Or a great tip is to reach out to other authors in your genre. Ideally, you want to have those relationships already with these authors. That's why I always emphasize the value of going to conferences and meeting people in person. Back when we could do that, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to do that again. But yeah, if you manage to meet people face to face, then you have actually a real relationship with them, and hopefully they'll be more inclined to read your books, advanced review copies of your books. And there's nothing there's nothing that sells a book like a cover quote or an editorial review from someone that readers in your niche or in your genre will immediately know. If you write a thriller and you get a quote from Lee Child, obviously that thriller is going to sell like hotcakes. Now that's very, very unlikely, but maybe you can get an editorial review from, I don't know, Mark Dawson, Nick Stevenson, very popular indie authors that already a lot of readers will be familiar with. So it's worth taking the time to build these relationships to get these editorial reviews in. Now, some tactics to boost your Amazon rankings. Now, just to finish off on the topic of reviews, I mentioned editorial reviews here because we were not worried about customer reviews, because we're lucky enough that we have a big newsletter at Reedsy, and what a lot of these people did as well, a lot of these partners, they didn't necessarily read or review the book, but they posted in their Facebook groups. Like I have to thank Mark Dawson, who posted in the SPF group, Craig Martell, who posted in 20 Books to 50K group, Cecilia Mecca, who posted in her group as well. Through all these Facebook groups, I reached a lot of authors, and the book got 8,000 downloads in the first 5 days, Because of that and the size of our newsletter, I wasn't worried about customer reviews. So I didn't send advanced review copies of the book to our list or actual potential customers, only to influencers and partners to get editorial reviews. But in your case, if you don't have the reach yet to be sure that you're going to get a bunch of customers reviews at launch, then you should also send advanced review copies to just regular readers and try to get their customer reviews at launch. Now, on the tactics to boost your Amazon rankings, I'm going to go a little bit quicker through that because you don't need to use all those if you've done all the prep work that we mentioned, right? The prep work is the most important thing. But obviously, come the day when your book releases, you need to do something for the book to sell. First thing is newsletters. I've cultivated a newsletter, a mailing list at Reedsy for 3 years again. And that's what this book is made out of. So it was very, very easy to send that book to our newsletter, and we got a bunch of downloads out of it. I'm in a very lucky position that I was able to do that. But if you're in nonfiction, you probably already have a platform, so make sure to leverage it. If you write in fiction, try to build that platform, build that newsletter, build that mailing list. The mailing list is the single most powerful tool when you launch a new book, but obviously it takes time and effort to build. The second one is partners and influencers, and I talked about this already. And build those connections with these authors. Even for fiction, there are a bunch of Facebook groups for every genre. Don't go on those Facebook groups on launch day and spam them with your book. That's never going to work. The few Facebook groups that will allow that are groups where people are definitely not engaged, so no one's actually going to check it out. Instead, join those groups early. If you're going to release your first book, for example, or first fiction book, join those groups right now. Search for those groups in your genre right now. Find the ones where there's real engagement from readers. Join them. Interact in those groups as a reader. You can mention that you're a prospective author, but don't post links to your website or your pre-order or anything like that. Just interact as a reader. Get known in those groups. Make friends. Make virtual friends. We can't make real friends nowadays. So make unless you're in Australia like you, but make virtual friends. And then when your launch day comes, these virtual friends will probably already be aware that you're launching a book, and they'll post that book for you in the group. You won't even have to do it. So yeah, take the time to build those connections very, very early. The best thing you can do while you're writing your book is starting to network, whether that's virtually or physically, with other authors and with readers in your genre. You can do live events, especially nowadays where we're all at home and watching more video content than we ever have. Live events such as this webinar are a great way to get more reach. So if you already have a platform, definitely on top of announcing the launch to them, as we did through a newsletter, organize a little webinar in which you don't discuss the book itself, but maybe how you're launching the book or topics that are tangential with the book, or you just do a live Q&A, which we're going to get to in a second as well. There are a bunch of things that you can do live. Don't be shy. If you don't mind, get on camera and do a live event. And finally, advertising. Advertising is pretty obvious. I started to set up Facebook ads for my book on Monday because we'd already been in a bunch of Facebook groups and we'd used our newsletter, and I didn't want the rank to drop. What's really important when you launch a book on Amazon, if you wanted to rise very high in the rankings and stay there, not just like rise and fall, you need to get a plateau of sales. So what I did is I split the promotion tactics, right? The first day when I launched the book, I informed all my friends and all our partners, so that they would basically let their audience know. So that's when all the Facebook groups hit, and I got 1,500 downloads in the first day. Then the second day, I emailed a portion of my mailing list, and that got 2,000 or 3,000 downloads in the second day. The third day, I hit another portion of my mailing list, and again another 2,000 downloads. And after that, well, I exhausted kind of the obvious big channels that I had. So I set up some Facebook ads to try to keep the sales going. Obviously, the Facebook ads are not driving 2,000, 3,000 downloads per day because we would have to be spending a lot of money on Facebook for that to happen. And it's for a free book after all. So we're not going to be giving Mark Zuckerberg all that money to promote a free book. But so that the rank wouldn't completely fall, I decided to set up some Facebook advertising campaigns, and I'll set up some Amazon advertising campaigns next as well. And thanks to that, the free ebook got to the top 25 on the overall free Kindle store on Amazon.com, which is pretty cool. It was the number one nonfiction title on the Kindle free store, and right now it's still within the top 200, despite sales having fallen quite a bit. But because they haven't fallen completely, I managed to get that rank to stick. So stickiness is really important. For that, you need to achieve a plateau of sales, and that's what advertising can really help you with. When you've exhausted all your obvious channels, then you can slap up some ads, keep the sales going for a little bit longer, and keep that rank up. And finally, promos. We weren't really going to do a promo for our book because it's hard to discount it more than what it already is. But by far the most effective marketing channel for any book that's not free is discounting it. If you have it at $3.99, put it at $0.99 for 5 days. Concentrate your ad spend over these 5 days. Book some promo newsletters. Try to get a BookBub, but failing that, get a Bargain Booksy, Fussy Librarian, Kindle, A Nation Daily, Open Road Media. Promotion sites like that. Book them all over those 5 days, and really get your book high up in the ranks while it's discounted or free. And then when it goes back to full price, the rank's going to fall, but not too much, and you're going to get some full price sales as a result. So price promos are probably the oldest marketing tactic in self-publishing, and they're still the one that works best. Obviously, it doesn't work as well as back in 2011, but it's still the marketing tactic that works best. So that's it. Before we get to the Q&A, a quick summary. Make sure that you build your mailing list early, and you build your network of friends and partners early as well. Make sure to really optimize your cover and your title. Think about Amazon search engine optimization, especially for nonfiction. Choose the right keywords and categories. Make the best out of the keyword boxes by not just having one keyword in them, but like long keyword phrases. Definitely send that email to KDP support to request more categories after carefully researching them. And then send out your advanced review copies to both partners or readers at least a good month in advance. People are busy. People already have a bunch of books on their to read list. So if you send them just a week before launch and you tell them, hey, but you get a week to read this and leave me a review, they're definitely not going to do it. And it's a really good friend. That's a great way to test a friendship. And finally, nowadays book live events to coincide with your launch. It's really easy to throw a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live or anything like that, and it's a great way to boost your launch a little bit. And now, I'd love to get your questions.
Cool. What's for dinner, Ricardo?
Sorry, this is really cooking time in Spain. There's no way around that. There will be how do you call it? The Halloween thing, the pumpkin pumpkin soup.
Oh, nice. Cool. We're at the Q&A portion. Anyone, I see some have started coming in already. We'll answer as many of them as we can, but just keep them coming. I'm just going to try filter through some of them there. Here's one from Fiona.
So how do you build a mailing list before you launch your book? Excellent question. So in my case, it's nonfiction, right? So I started a newsletter giving tips on the topic that my book was going to be about. So if you're gonna, I don't know, want to release a book on like how to take care of orchids, then you can start a newsletter with like weekly tips for taking care of your orchids. That's very simple for nonfiction. For fiction, it's a little bit more complicated. It's not impossible. If you're writing, I don't know, an epic fantasy series, then you could start off by writing a prequel to the first book, set it free, put it on a site called BookFunnel, and and then advertise it as a free book for people who join your mailing list. So you can put the ads on Facebook. You can run on Facebook ads, or just like on Facebook organic, put some tweets about it. And that's the most common way to build a newsletter before you launch a book. Write something that you're going to give away for free, or create something that you're going to give away for free in exchange for signups to your newsletter, and then advertise that. Another way is to organize giveaways. So for example, you can do a giveaway of the hardcover editions of the top 10 books in your genre. Get people to enter the giveaway, and to enter the giveaway, they have to enter your mailing list. Obviously, only one person wins, but if you get 1,000 people who enter the giveaway, that's 1,000 people on your mailing list. These are not going to be super engaged people, but that's a mailing list already. So these are the most common tactics.
And in a more nuts and boltsy kind of way, Ricardo has created a free course, an email-based course on building your mailing list, which includes showing you how to set it up with MailChimp and the other ones, MailerLite, I think. And also some of these tactics he's offered up to build that one up. Shailene, I think, should be sharing the link to that in the comments just now. And the next question here from Kenneth: do you type the editorial review into Amazon yourself, or does the reviewer have to submit it directly? So I guess like the one we showed.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Actually, it's something I didn't touch on. But when you launch your book, something that you need to set up is your Amazon Author Central page. So you're going to get an email about KDP about setting it up. They've made it pretty nicely looking nowadays, surprisingly so compared to the KDP dashboard. And what you fill in there is basically your bio, your author bio, and then if you go on Amazon Author Central and click on the books, you can edit the books, you can edit the description of your book, and you also have a space for editorial reviews. And you can just write the editorial reviews in there yourself. So you have 100% control over those editorial reviews. It's something that you type into Amazon yourself via Amazon Author Central.
Great. Next question here from Tony: what format do you send ALCs?
Well, I mentioned BookFunnel just before for mailing list building, and that's also what I use for sending ARCs. BookFunnel is great because you just you upload all the possible files to BookFunnel. So you uploaded a MOBI file, an EPUB file, and a PDF file. And then I send a BookFunnel link, and readers who get that link can decide what they want to download, what format they want to download. And BookFunnel also gives them instructions specific to their device, because some people have very old Kindles, and it's not easy to sideload MOBI files on them. So BookFunnel takes the customer support out of your hands to get these people to download the book onto their device.
Ian has a question I think a lot of people have been sort of asking in different ways. What content marketing for fiction authors do you recommend?
I don't really recommend content marketing for fiction authors. I 100% recommend it for nonfiction. It's probably the most sustainable channel you can use. For fiction, content marketing for me means writing the next book. You're better off writing your next book than writing a blog post or anything like that. That can be the next book in your series. That can be a different series. That can be a prequel that you're going to give away for free. That can be short stories. But basically, something in your fiction universe. That's what content marketing for fiction means to me.
Cool. Let's see. Question for Ricardo: are there any limitations on plugging your book on Facebook groups? I think we answered this one already.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, common sense limitations, right? If it's a Facebook group you've never interacted on, don't go on there and post about your book. Basically, imagine you're moderating a Facebook group aimed at readers, and imagine what you wouldn't want new authors to do in there. And yeah, put yourself in the shoes of the mods and think, is this something that really people are gonna want to see? So definitely, I'd say rather than blasting your book on 20 different Facebook groups, do your research in advance. Look at these 20 Facebook groups, pick out the one or two that are the most engaged, that don't necessarily have the most followers or fans, but the ones that get most engagement on posts. Enter those and then interact with those on a daily basis. Facebook's going to make it really easy for you. Once you start interacting 2-3 times with a given group, new posts from that group are going to be top of your feed all the time. So it's going to make it very, very easy for you to always constantly interact with those groups. You're going to make yourself a name in those groups. You're going to be recognized by people in the group as someone who's a good contributor to the group. And then when you launch the book, generally people in the group will already be aware that you're launching a book because you've made those friendships, and they'll be posting the link for you. But if they don't, you can always reach out to the mods and say, hey, I've been contributing to this group for a while. Do you mind if I share this book launch? And usually they won't mind, because if you're an active member of the group and have contributed positively, then sure, you can do a bit of self promo in there.
Janet asks, would love your thoughts about launching 3 novels at once versus one every couple of weeks or one a month. For this purpose, let's assume they belong to a series.
Yeah, Janet's referring to rapid releases, which work really, really well, especially in fiction for series authors. I don't have an answer for this. I think all 3 options here are equally valid. It depends on kind of on your goal. The benefit of launching 3 novels at once is that if all 3 of them sell really well, you can get 3 novels for 30 days in the hot new releases list in all your categories. So that gives you a lot of real estate in all your categories. And if you do it over a couple of weeks or one a month, then you don't get as much real estate in the hot new releases at once, but you get real estate over a longer period of time. So it depends. I'd say if you're confident that they're going to sell really well and you're going to get the top 3 spots in the hot new releases with these 3 launches, then yeah, it's worth a shot. It's really solid real estate. Otherwise, I generally prefer to stagger the launches at least a couple of weeks.
Great. Let's see. Oh, we've got a couple of questions here. Kaylee's asked sort of a question regarding, I guess, Reedsy as a business.
Does Reedsy represent? Yeah.
Sorry, I told you I'd ask questions. Let me do that. Does Reedsy represent self-published teenage authors or minors?
Sorry, you read them much better than me too. So we don't represent authors. Period. We're not an agency, so we don't really represent authors. We support teenage authors and minors as much as possible. Our free resources are free for everyone, so you can access our free courses. You can access our weekly writing contests, where there are already a lot of teenage authors and minors taking part, and we definitely encourage that. What you cannot use is the paid resources on Reedsy, like our marketplace of editors or designers or marketers, because you need to be you can't enter into a legal contract with a freelance editor, for example, if you're a minor. So we'd like to, but we really can't.
We've got a technical question. Margaret Manchester asks, ARC, please explain acronyms.
Yeah, sorry about that. ARC stands for Advanced Reader Copies. So these are copies that can be either digital or physical. Nowadays, mostly digital, so ebook copies that you send to advanced readers. Advanced readers are basically readers who get your books in advance, so at least 1 month, as I mentioned. And in exchange for getting your book in advance and for free, they sort of silently commit to leaving an honest review at launch. So ARCs are a great way to make sure you launch with a bunch of reviews, whether editorial reviews or customer reviews. And they've been used by traditional publishers for years. When a traditional publisher is going to launch a new book, what they're going to do is send a bunch of physical copies to book bloggers and reviewers who are semi-famous. That's pretty costly to send physical copies, but us indie authors, we can send digital copies, and a bunch of digital readers will be more than happy to get those for free in advance and leave a review in exchange for that.
We have a question here from Michelle. What is the best way to identify the genre for a first-time author that writes without understanding genres?
The best way is to understand genres. You can't identify your genre if you don't research genres and understand them. And this is something that's super important. I know a lot of authors are called to writing what they know, or what they feel, or what they want to write, and that is 100% valid if your goal is to write. If your goal is to make a living out of what you write, then you need to adhere to the market at least a little bit. Like, it's fine to know what the tropes are for, let's say, romance, and then play with those tropes and break them a little bit without breaking them too much. You can definitely get away with that, and it can even be a stronger book as a result. But if you don't really know the tropes and you're just writing whatever and trying to have it pass as romance, for example, it's not going to work. In some genres, readers are very, very nitpicky. They expect certain things to happen in a book, and if they don't happen, they're not going to buy the book, or if they buy the book and they see that they don't happen, they're going to leave a negative review. So you can't really get away without knowing genre and understanding genres nowadays. The great thing with self-publishing is that it's really broadened literary genres. Before self-publishing, traditional publishers would not take chances on very niche fiction genres, or on genres that were hot maybe 5-10 years ago and they thought they weren't hot anymore. I remember when self-publishing started after a few years, traditional publishers weren't interested in vampire books anymore because they said that that trend was over. And guess what? Self-publishers came in with vampire books and sold a shit ton of copies. So you have a lot more genres to choose from now thanks to indie publishing, but you need to write in a genre.
Yeah, and you sort of need to sort of understand, what the market is. Like, if you don't really know what your genre is, you may not be reading enough. It's great that you're going about and you're writing, and you're working towards writing a book, but there are very few authors there who have written more books than they've read. When it comes to genre, like, the way to think about it, regardless of whether you're self-publishing or you intend to query it and get it in with the publisher, is like, where is this book going to live in the bookshop? Because that's really all they care about. They want to know they can go to a bookseller, someone who works in the bookshop, and said, okay, the book here belongs right here in science fiction next to Harry Turtledove or whatever. So, ask yourself, if I finish this book, where in the bookshop does it belong? Does it belong, next to Six of Crows? Does it go in the general fiction section, in which case it's probably literary fiction, or next to your lead child? So, like, walk through your bookshop and just try to figure out where your book belongs. Blessed or Messy asks passionately, is Amazon ads dead?
Not that I know of, unless it happened in the last hour. I don't think it's dead. No, I briefly mentioned it. I think that I was going to set up some Amazon ads for my book. Amazon ads are definitely not dead. They're still a really good avenue to get some sales, especially a good avenue to get some sales with a positive ROI. It's probably easier than Facebook. It's just more. It's definitely more and more competitive. So you'll have to bid more. Clicks are more costly than a few years ago because more authors are using Amazon ads. So definitely not dead. Definitely try them. And we have got a free course on Reedsy Learning. This time I remembered to mention it about Amazon ads. So just Google Reedsy Learning Amazon ads and take the free course. I updated it not so long ago. So it's a great primer for all of you who haven't started with Amazon ads yet.
Cool. Speaking of which, you do have a couple of other free resources that you offer. If you haven't already, once you download Ricardo's book, there'll be a link there where you can sign up to his newsletter. Get I think every Thursday, unless you're busy. But they do come in quite regularly, and if you enjoyed this, that stuff really gets into the weeds there. Also, we have those courses he spoke about. We have everything from how to market a book 101 to things like Facebook ads, Amazon ads, understanding the Amazon algorithm. A lot of great stuff put in there. Rowan has suggested that you're getting tired. It is later for you in Spain.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling tired, but yeah, these presentations do take a little bit of a toll.
Yeah, but I think that's probably a good point to call it a day. Thank you, Ricardo, for taking part in this. Shailin, no doubt, will share the link for his book once more. Download it. Hope you find it useful. If you like it, why not leave a review? Actioning one of our points of our suggestions there. But yes, do keep your eye out for other webinars coming up in the next few months. We have something planned every other week. I'm going to be publicizing them quite soon. If you signed up through Eventbrite, I'll be dropping off an email either later this week or early next week with a link to the transcript. So if you were trying to take notes, don't worry, we'll get a transcript made. Most of the important stuff will be in there. But yeah, thank you very much, those of you watching at home. Thank you very much, Ricardo. I guess I'll see you in the office tomorrow.
Thanks for having me, and yeah, looking forward to it.
See you.
See you.